What's up guys, welcome back to a video. In today's video we're going to be learning about classes and objects. So before going into the video, I would appreciate you guys liking and subscribing the video, and feel free to comment. So let's go into the topic. So first, let's see what a class is. A class is like a blueprint that have all the properties. So that's what a class is, and now let's see the basic of how do you create a class. To create a class, we have to use the keyword class, which is pretty straightforward. So now let's see an example of how do you create a class. So first we use the keyword class, and then you just type the name of the class, which is, this time I'm gonna keep my class, and then followed by the colon and the parentheses and also pass, because I'm using pass because I don't have any code right now, so I'm not using it in this class. And now we just created a class. And now let's see another topic called objects. Objects are used to store the classes, and we can call these objects or call the class using these objects. So the variables we store the class are the objects. So we have to learn one more thing called object class built-in. So this is basically the thing that is already built in by Python. So it's gonna say what type of class is. So we're gonna see that example in just a second. So first, let's see what an object is. As I said, we have to have a variable a and have the my class thing or the class thing. So as you see, I just have the object. So this is an object which is referring to my class. So that's how objects work. As I said, we're going to be learning about object built-in. So first, to know that, we have to use the type method in Python. So basically this is gonna say what type is it. So I'll give you an example. So if I type 1, it's gonna give an integer, because 1 is an integer, as you see, int, which is short form of integer. And if I give 1.5, that's a float, and etc. So this time we have to give the my class. So my class followed by the parentheses too. So basically we have 3 parentheses, 3 pairs. And now if I run this, as you see, class main. What is this main? So basically it's like an object class, which is basically like an object kind of thing. So that's how these object classes work. And now let's see one more topic to see some example before seeing some examples using class. So first we have to learn called the init thing. So the init function are used to have arguments inside the class that can be used, changed, or do whatever you want with those arguments. So that's how init is written. So init is written in a pretty peculiar way. So it has like 2 underscores followed by init, which is pretty straightforward till here, and now again 2 underscores and parentheses. So that's how you write init. So first, let's see an example using that. First, as I said, this time we're gonna take the data from employee, and we're gonna have a parentheses followed by a colon, and now we have to use the init. So because I need the arguments. So first, 2 pairs of underscores, init, and then 2 pairs of underscores again. And this time we use the self parameter. What's self? Self is basically referring to the class name. So we're gonna learn that in just a second. So first we need their name and their ID in this employee class. And now we have to make the thing. So this is where the self comes in place. And one more thing I want to mention, that you don't even have to use self. You can name it X, A, or whatever you want. But here it should be the variable name. So let's say I give X, I have to give X over here. So that's how this self parameter works. Self is a reference to the thing. So self.name equals name. So basically what I'm saying is employee.name is the variable name. So it's like kind of like an argument. So we just have an argument over here, and now we have to create many of these. So this time, as I said, you don't have to give the specific name. For this time I'm gonna give X. You can give X, and here X. But sometimes you may use these X variables, so be concentrated on that too. And now ID, X.ID equals ID, so that is the variable name which I have. So we just created the employee class, and now we have to have the objects. So as I said, we have to have the objects, which means let me create object A, and now I have to refer this employee, and now I have to use the parentheses. And in this time, normally we just use this just like this, we just leave it, but we have two arguments over here. So basically in functions you have to have the same number of arguments and the same number of parameters. So this time I have to have the name. Let me type code, and this time let's give some numbers. So let's give 1 2 3 4 5. So that is the ID. And now let's print this. So print this, we just use the print statement dot a dot the thing you want to print. Let's say a dot, let's say the name. So this is why we use the name over here. So now if I run this, it have to print the as you see code. And now if I just type ID, it's gonna print ID. So basically we're trying to go and see the variable name what we have inside it. So it's pretty basic tool here. First we have to focus on a thing called str. So what is str? We're gonna learn in a second. So this is how you create an str, which is kind of like the init thing, which has two underscores, but inside we have str and two underscores and parentheses and obviously colon. So this is used to print the object value so directly. So you can use str, and at the same time you don't have to, but str is more convenient to use. So first let's use without str, and without str means we have to use like this, but this time we're gonna make our own function that's gonna print. So this is gonna print, let's say, the name of it. So print name. And now here is an important point, we have to use self in it because we are still in the class, so we have to refer the employee. So that's so important, and lots of people make mistakes on that. So we have to be sure, we have to be careful on that too. And now it's pretty basic here, you just print let's say self dot name. So that's why we use the name variable over there, so that's why it is used. And this time, instead of accessing like this, instead of printing it, you can even do that, but it's not gonna print the result what we need. So print name, so it's basically gonna print the location of it and etc. So it's gonna print something like bound m method. So that's not what we wanted, we just want it to print the name. So for that we have to use a dot print name. Why, you may ask? Because we already have a print statement over here, so it's already gonna print for us. And why do we need another print statement? So the Python thinks that we have to print the location of it, so that's not what it have to think. So that's why you just use this. As you see, it's printing code. And now you can make multiple of these. So let's say let me copy this, and let's say I want to print the ID too. So I have to just copy this real quick, and now let me paste that. And as you see, I have the same thing, but this time I'm gonna change it to ID. And now it's gonna print the ID. And remember one more thing, I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but this is pretty important too. You have to even be sure with the capital locks, or the capital letters, or the capital case to say. And now if I keep employee, as you see, it's not highlighting because it don't know what to do. As you see, employee is not defined, so we have to remember with the capital case too, so that's important. And now I'm printing this. You can access many as you want, so this time I have to access the ID, which is I capital and capital case. And now let me clear this real quick. So, and now if I run this, it have to print us the result code and also the ID. Now as I said, you can work with this as many as times, so I can print this 3 times. It's not gonna say an error, it's always gonna print it. As you see, code, and that's 3 times, and the ID. So that's how this thing works. But there's a small problem in this. You have to always copy paste everything. That's gonna cost a lot of time. So but we are now gonna use the function called str, which is gonna reduce our time. So it's kind of like time saver, but at first it takes time to create, but after that it's gonna take so less time. So first we have to name it basically like init function, and remember to have the self. So you can even, as you see, I didn't mention this, but I have xxx. So, and I have self over here. Why is it even working? You may ask, as I said at the beginning, it just doesn't care about the names. It just takes random one. You can keep it, but most of the people just keep self, so I'll change it this time. So we understand what is the use of it. Oh no, I messed that up over there. So I have to type self, self, and also here self. So if you don't want, you don't even have to. And now we have our str. So now we have to use a return statement. Why can't we just print inside this? We can, but that's gonna cause a lot of problems because we are already printing. Str is already used for printing, and you don't want to print it again, so that's gonna cause problems. So return is used to return the values back. So I explained these in my function videos. If you don't know, you can go check it out. So that's why return is used. So we're just gonna pass this and it's gonna print it by itself. So first I'm gonna format this because I want in a string too. So if you want the variables, you have to use the curly brackets self and self.name. So self.name, and then after you're done, you can just give a space and it's already done for you. Self.name is the name, and the ID is, and it's have to print the ID, self.id. So that's what it have to do. So we don't have any of these functions, so we don't have to, and we just don't have to do anything. You just have to type print a, and it's automatically gonna do for us. It's gonna print code is a name and the ID is 12345. So that's how this str works. And now let's see a last topic, and pretty important too. We're gonna be learning about we can make our own classes, which is basically, that's why I have this employee over here. So we can make our own class and call it or import it to our main program. So for using that, we have to use two methods which is built in by Python. One is from and one is import. So we'll see in a second. So let me say you why is this used. So this is used when you have a lot amount of code. Let's say you have like 10 lines, 15 lines, and etc. And you can go through all of those, but you use this built-in call, like you can import it. So first you have to copy, or if you want to create new code you can, but for now I'm just gonna copy paste this code. And as you see, I already have over here, and I'm keeping the str statement, and now I can delete over here. So we just have to make the object and do the thing. So first let me delete the whole thing. As I said, first we have to use from. We have to access the employee with the capital letters, which is important. And now we have to import a specific thing called this class. So why are we importing this class? So let's say you have a lot of these classes with different names. I have a lot of these, so that's why we're gonna import a specific class which is gonna obtain those properties and gonna print for you guys. So import, the class name is employee 2. So if you are pretty scared or what is the name, you can just copy paste it anytime, so that works. And now we just have to create as usual. We just have to name a equals, let's take employee of, and we have to pass the parameters as usual. And now we're just gonna type, this time we're gonna type code and a different ID 109876. So that's our ID. And now we have to print this, print a, and that works too. As you see now, if I run this, code is the name and the ID is 109876. So as you see here, it's the same one. So if you want, you can make a new one to test this, so that works too. And now let's see a small topic, kind of like revising thing. So you can basically delete variables that call the class. So basically these are the variables or the objects that you can also delete them. Now I can just write del, which is a keyword if you don't know, and I can just type a. And now if I run this, it have to print an error. As you see, name a is not defined because we already deleted it, so that's why it doesn't give you the result. But if I remove this, it's gonna print as usual. So that's it for today's video. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.